Today is October 30th, 2023. It is the day before Halloween. And the love and learn topic that I wanted to do today is really about something that you guys might hear often. And there are some people in my community who this is basic 101 for you, right? So basically, what I want to talk about is, well, first, let me say really quick, my name is Jen Cushman. I am an empathic intuitive. I am the founder of Soul Stir Magic. And I am also an energy Reiki master and Huna, working on Huna. That's who I am, also neurolinguistic programming, mental emotional release, and hypnotherapy master practitioner. Okay, good. Got that out of the way. Now, October 30th, 2023. Tomorrow is Halloween, okay? And what you might have heard before is you have maybe heard this term, the veil is thin this time of year, okay? So I really want to talk about that terminology of the veil being thin. Now, this is the veil being thin. It talks about the veil between two worlds, right? It talks about the veil between the physical world and the veil between the spirit world. And that's what we're talking about, is the veil that is between our two worlds. Now, in the Celtic religion, right, for the Celts and their culture and their religion, this goes way, way back, right? So they understood about the veil between the two worlds is what they talked about. Other religions and cultures like pagan, Wiccan, those kinds of religions, this is a very, very, very sacred time of year for them. And it is when the veil is the thinnest. You'll also hear it in the higher consciousness community. And really, what it means, right? What it really means is that there is an energetic space. There is an energetic veil. There is an energetic separation between our three-dimensional physical world and spirit world, right? The other world, the other side, the non-physical form side, the side that we go to when we cross over, right? When we are done with this lifetime of ours and we leave these physical bodies behind and our soul and our spirit moves on. I've also heard it being called graduating. I kind of like that idea that you're graduating to the other side, right? That you've learned your lessons and you get to graduate, and the idea of being able to go out in a cap and gown and celebrations and those kind of things just really appeals to me as a celebration rather than a moment of sadness, right? So there is this space. It's also called liminal space. And liminal space is where things get hazy, right? We can see it in our three-dimensional world. One of the things that is liminal space is when we are looking at the horizon line. So if you are standing, in California, Hawaii, anywhere where you're standing in an ocean and a bottom body of water, and you are looking out and you are seeing right where the water and the sky meets, and it gets a little hazy right in between there, that is also called liminal space. And it is believed that it is during that hazy part that the liminal space that's when the opening happens between our physical world and our spirit world, right? That's when it's easiest for us to hear and see the signs of spirit, to see our crossed over loved ones, to see our ancestors, to feel their presence. When you're in that liminal space is a time where you might be able to feel coolness or heat if they're present. You might be able to feel the presence of a hand on your arm. You might hear the whisper, or you might have major synchronicities that come in, like when you're turning on the radio and it just happens to be the song that used to play when you and your grandmother were little. Well, at this time of year, your grandmother wants to be able to talk to you. She wants to be able to communicate. The biggest thing that is shown to me when I am doing readings with people and crossed over loved ones come in, transitions loved ones come in, they want me to tell the living, they want me to tell everybody that it is okay, They are really okay. Their souls are eternal. We are eternal, and that they have just moved on and that they are still living their lives. They're living their soul lives. They're just living them in a totally different, I don't want to say reality, but in a different energetic space, right? So, it's like some people say it's 3 feet above us, 3 feet in front of us. There's a lot of theories as to where the other side actually is. And I don't actually know. Okay. I've had a lot of discussions with my team and, like, what is it? What is when I'm in meditation and I'm in that really clear space where I hear them and feel them? I know my angel and guide's presence. Sometimes I will just have conversations and I'll ask questions like, what is it like over there? Like, how does it feel? Is my grandmother over there? Is my father? And I ask a lot of these questions and then I'll get answers back, right? So, but in terms of like being able to comprehend, right? Comprehend where it is, what it feels like, what it does. We just don't know until we get there, right? It's kind of like being parents. You have no idea what it's like to be a parent until you're a parent yourself. You just have to experience it. So that is liminal space. Liminal space is also the state between waking and sleeping and waking. It's that very hazy time. I remember after my mother passed, a week after my mother passed, I had a dream right before that waking state. And in that dream, I was sitting with her. I mean, we were sitting next to each other. We were holding hands. The conversation was so real. I held her and hugged her. It makes me cry thinking about it, right? And I held her and hugged her, and I could feel myself waking. And I was moving from the dream state into the waking state. And I didn't want to say goodbye to her because she had just passed a week ago. And I just wanted to stay there with her. I wanted to stay in that liminal space because she was so real to me. She wasn't passed on. That, excuse me, hang on a minute. That one gets me, right? That is what this is about. So, this time of year where the veil is thin, right? That means that that liminal space is thin. It is the easiest time of the entire year for our ancestors to talk to us. It is the easiest time of the year for us to hear the whispers of spirit, for us to get the messages, for us to get help, right? To get help from our team and our guides and our angels. So, what I want you to know right now is that for the next couple of days, we've been leading up to it, right? Some people say that the liminal space and the veil starts to thin in September, and then, it goes all the way into October. And the reason why that the veil thins and it goes into the space is because it is autumn and is actually when nature is starting to die back, right? So our plants are dying back, our gardens are going fallow, all of those things are happening. It's getting cooler outside. Nature is starting to fall back. And so when nature falls back, it creates an opening, right? It creates a contraction as opposed to an expansion. And when it is in the contraction time, the veil between our two worlds really starts to thin. And that's why it makes it easier. Okay. Okay. Now, the other thing I want to tell you about the veil, sorry, my nose is running. I started thinking of mom, and I was having such a strong association with that dream and that memory because it was so life changing for me, right? And I have to tell you guys, my mom and dad been around for the last week like you wouldn't believe. So the amount of butterflies and dragonflies that have been in my life, feathers that have been on my path, feathers that have come out of nowhere, like spirit is just talking, like they're having full on conversations with me the last couple of weeks, right? So anyway, so the other thing I want to talk about is in addition to the veil, right? So the veil is also not just a thing, right? A curtain, like a sheer curtain, like what I was talking about, Deborah, about the sheer curtain that I have in front of my window right now. So the veil is like a sheer curtain. And so you will hear things where people will talk about pull aside the veil, lifting the veil. The veil has always been that metaphor of hiding, sheerly hiding, and then lifting or opening or revealing for us to have more knowledge, you know? So being able to pull aside the veil. And it's really quite a metaphor. Now, the other thing about the veil is also one of the things that we're, in higher consciousness again, is that we come into this world knowing our path, knowing our purpose, knowing all of those things, right? And then as we grow, when we're little and we grow, it is really our job to forget. We are supposed to forget the other side. We are really supposed to forget those past lives. We are supposed to forget those things because it is our job to live in this time, in this body, in these souls. So in this time, we need to forget about the past times so we can fully embody, appreciate, enjoy, experience this lifetime. And so we come in as babies with prior knowledge, and then the veil comes down and we have to forget. And then we spend the rest of our life remembering and reawakening. So when you talk about the reawakening of consciousness, it is that time in your life when you start to wonder about spirituality. You may have been raised in a very particular religion. Might have been raised Christian, you might have been raised Catholic, you might have been raised Mormon, you might have been raised Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist. It doesn't matter how you were raised in your family and origin, but there becomes a time in our lives when we start to question the way we were raised, and we start to look beyond our programming, our conditioning, and we start to see what else is out there. And that's when we may decide that we want to become less of what our family of origin was, and maybe just more spiritual. That's what happened to me, right? I just wanted to learn about spirituality. So, right before my late 20s, I really started to study metaphysics because I was very interested in spirituality. Susan's on here right now, and I know that Susan has come to Buddhism and she loves being a Buddhist, right, Susan? Right. And so she loves it. And that was something that came to her, from her awakening, her opening, her wanting to really find something that works for her that wasn't from her family of origin. Okay. Okay. So that's part of lifting the veil as well. That is something that we do instinctively, intuitively, and something we do as part of our path when we want to figure out who we are. So there is so much more to us than this brain, right? You've heard me say this a million times. There is a spiritual body, there's a mental body, there is a emotional body, and then there is a physical body. And when we start to grow and change and figure out who we are and what we want to do in our life and what our purpose is, we need to get in alignment with all four of those bodies. Okay. So awakening is part of that experience. And awakening is part of lifting the veil so you can remember who you are. Now, the last thing I want to say to this, and then this is my love and learn topic for today, okay, is that energetically, and what is happening, and I'm reading this all over again. I'm sure you guys are too, if you're reading different spiritual teachers or different things that are coming in, or highest consciousness, even in personal growth and development that tends to not do spirituality. One of the things we're hearing is that so many more people are awakening up, awakening to the truth, awakening to authenticity, awakening to understanding that systems in the past, power structures in the past, those kind of things are no longer serving us. And so as we awaken and we come together, when we live our individual truths, when we live our spirituality, when we live in alignment with our four bodies, we actually hold the veil open for others to be able to awaken. My Magic Mondays that I do every single Monday, and the topics that I do, is my way of being a light worker and doing the best I can to give some positivity in the world, to give some knowledge in the world, share the knowledge that I've learned, and literally hold that sheer curtain open for anybody else who wants to come through with me. It's part of the community. It's why you guys are here. And I love your community. I love our community and I love all of you. So when you live your light, when you live your truth, when you show your authenticity, when you are not afraid to speak your truth of who you are, and you do it in a way that is just beautiful and congruent and in alignment and not in the baggage, not in the garbage, not in the triggers, but just in a full knowing of who you are being a light worker and you are literally allowing that veil to continue to thin so you can hold the curtain open for others. And I've had the curtain held open for me so I could walk through it and become the person I want to be. And I want to continue to thin the veil, hold the curtain open for anybody else who wants to walk through with me. Okay. So, you guys, that is really the significance of this time of year. Okay. It's not just candy, it's not just dress up, although that stuff is so much fun, right? Like, it is so much fun. Some people love Halloween, some people hate Halloween. That's just the way it is. And on a deeper meaning, going back in our history, going back to the Celts, going back to the Wiccans, going back to the pagans, going back to the Gnostic Christians, going way, way back, this time of year had major significance that was way beyond parties and pumpkins and Halloween and dress up. And I just really wanted to take today and take the Magic Mondays to honor my history, to honor my ancestors, to honor your ancestors, and to really be present. In Latin culture, this is the Day of the Dead, right? For 3 days, they party, they offer cigarettes, they offer alcohol, they do the skeleton face mask, like they party this time of year as a way to honor their ancestors and honor those who've come before them. And I just want to take a moment to do the honoring. Okay. Does anybody have any questions on this? If you guys do, go ahead and drop them in the chat, and I would love to answer them if you feel like it. But that's just what I wanted to talk about today. Okay. And I have to kind of lean in because I have a laptop right now. So forgive me for leaning in, but it is 11:33, perfect, right on time. So this concludes the love and learn portion of today. And what I really, really want to get to, yes, Hitomi, the ofrendas. Yes, Hitomi, exactly. That's what it is, right? When we offer. We offer food and liquor and cigarettes and all the three-dimensional worldly things that we have here that, doesn't have it on the other side. Although I have to tell you, speaking of the ofrenda, and forgive my I don't speak Spanish, so forgive my pronunciation of that, right? One of the things that they did show me, because I remember doing a meditation once and I was talking to them about Day of the Dead, because I had done a really cool Day of the Dead celebration. And so I was talking to them a little bit about afterwards, my spirit team. And I was like, is it really true? Is there no alcohol? Is there no cigarettes? Is there no fun in the other world? And, I kind of got a little laugh and I got a little Twitter and, kind of thing here. And what they basically told me is that that anything that is here is there, right? So anything that we have here is there. So beautiful nature is there, sound is there, food. Now they don't eat, right? So obviously when you don't have a physical body, you're not eating, right? If you don't have a physical body, you're not smoking a cigarette, all of those things. And yet it is our mental, right? So it's like the thoughts over there. So you just think it and it happens. So if somebody has a strong memory of being a smoker and really just wants a long drag of a cigarette, they're in their memory, they can literally just bring up the drag of cigarette and they can still get the same emotional response, even though they have a non-physical body. Okay. So that's what has been shown to me and everything else on it. So that's what I really love about that is just, again, lifting the veil is that I ask questions and they respond. So, and I know it's not coming from me because I don't know these things, right? I don't know if you could smoke cigarettes on the other side. I had to ask. Okay. Okay, you guys, good. Okay, so end of that one.